All right, so this is the second step of 4.2. And at this point, you are going to pick your book. You're going to also pick the group members who are going to be in your book club, and you're going to make reading deadlines for yourself. So right now, if you're not quite sure what book you want to read, think about the books that you explored. Which will you be happy with for 4 weeks? It's a long time. And remember how old and long it felt to be with a book you didn't like for that long? Spend some time right now to make sure that you are going to read a book that you enjoy. If you still need help choosing a book, you can certainly look at the Media Center PowerPoint on Schoology to help you. Go to the Media Center website as well. Ask a teacher for recommendations. We are here to help you. And we've read a lot of these books, and so we can tell you a lot about them. Follow your excitement. What gets you excited? What kind of stirs your heart as you're looking at these? Follow that. Finally, choose your book club members. We're going to make it up to 4 people per group. That says 5. I'm sorry. I'm going to make that up to 4 people. And everyone in the group needs to be reading a different book. So be sure that you talk to the other people who you want to be in a group with about what they're reading to help you kind of narrow down what book you are going to be reading. We have book club meetings once a week for a total of 4 weeks, 4 book club meetings, 40 summative points. And then there will be an end of the unit book club meeting that will be worth 40 more points just on its own. Don't care who's in your group. You can leave those spots blank, and your teacher can help you figure out who is going to be in your group. Okay, the next thing that you need to do, though, is really important. This one is to set your weekly reading deadlines. Grab your book. All right, the first thing you need to do is determine how long your book is. Sometimes books end with the last page, sometimes they don't. In fact, a lot of times they don't end with the last page. They actually end earlier. So figure out where the end of your book is. Sometimes there's extra things at the end of books like glossaries or a preview to another book by the same author. And so figure out what page your book actually ends on and look at what that number is. That's the number that you want to put right here. All right. If you have a graphic novel, that also might be tricky. And so feel free to do some searching online or come and ask your teacher for help with that. But the idea is you put the total number of pages here, and then you divide that number by 4 to find about how many pages you should be reading each week. Okay? So do that first, and then you're going to start looking at your actual book. And let's say that you need to be reading about 44 pages a week. Turn to page 44 in your book. And is that a good place to end? Is it the end of a chapter, the end of a section? If it isn't, look for the closest page to that page number that is the end of a chapter or the end of a section, and choose that page instead. Because you don't want to end a reading like 2 pages before the end of a chapter or 2 pages into the start of a new chapter. So this number is kind of an estimate, all right? So I'll show you how this looks as an example. This book is 220 pages long. And so if you divide 220 by 4, it's 55. So about 55 pages. So about 55 pages of reading is what I want to do. Now, when I turn to page 55 in my book, I realize that it's like 6 pages into the beginning of a whole new section. So maybe I should go back to the end of the section and end that first reading there. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to say, let's end on page 48. I'll read 48 pages for the first reading deadline, knowing that, yeah, I'm going to have to read more for the next deadline, but in the end, you know, it all kind of evens out, right? So I'll go 49 to 111. That's the end of a chapter, and read 62 pages for the second deadline. And then 112 to 163, the end of a chapter, that's 51 pages. 164 to the end of the book. What's the end of the book? Well, it's 220, right? We know that from up here. So we've got 56 pages left. All right, so hopefully this helps you determine your own weekly reading deadlines. We are going to ask to look at these. We're going to write them down in our notes so we know what you're supposed to be reading. So do spend some time thinking about this and looking through your book to find the best places to start and end each reading deadline. All right, thanks. When you're done, show us your packet for 4.2 Mastery Check.